My name is Emily Carter, and I'm 32 years old. 3 years ago, my own brother stood in front of our entire family at Thanksgiving dinner and called me a failure to my face. I still remember the exact words. Some people just aren't built for business. Maybe accept that and get a real job. Everyone laughed. Even my mother smiled into her wine glass. I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, in a house where my older brother Mark was always the golden child. He got the finance degree from Ohio State. He got the corner office at 26. He got the framed photo on my parents' mantle, shaking hands with his firm's CEO. I got community college, a mountain of student debt, and a marketing job that paid $34,000 a year. When I finally quit that job to start my own social media consulting business, working out of my one-bedroom apartment with a laptop that overheated if I ran too many tabs, nobody thought it would last. My father said it was cute. My mother asked when I'd get serious. Again. Mark didn't even bother, pretending to care. He just smirked and said, I'd be back at a desk job within 6 months. For the first year, he was almost right. I had exactly 2 clients. I ate ramen 4 nights a week. I answered emails at 2 a.m. because I was terrified that if I didn't respond instantly, I'd lose the only income I had. But something kept me going. Maybe it was stubbornness. Maybe it was the memory of that laugh around the Thanksgiving table. Then, in my second year, everything started to change. A boutique fitness studio in Columbus hired me to rebuild their entire online presence. And within 4 months, their bookings tripled. That single client changed everything. Word started spreading. And that's exactly when Mark started paying attention to me for the first time in his life. Mark called me for the first time in months. Not to say congratulations. Not to ask how I was doing. He wanted to know the name of my client. I should have known better than to tell him. But he was my brother, and some stupid part of me still wanted his approval. So I mentioned it, Silverline Fitness, the boutique studio in Columbus that had become my biggest success story. 2 weeks later, Silverline's owner sent me an email that made my stomach drop. A financial consulting firm had reached out to her directly, offering to bundle her marketing and her business financing under one roof, at a discount, through a personal connection. The firm was Mark's. I told myself it was a coincidence. Firms reach out to growing businesses all the time. But then I found out the man who'd emailed her wasn't just anyone at the firm. It was Mark himself, using his own name, mentioning that his sister used to do some social media stuff before he could help her scale properly. Used to. I called him. He didn't even deny it. It's just business, Em, he said like I was overreacting. You should be flattered I even noticed what you're doing. Honestly, this could be good for you. Let the real financial side go to people who know what they're doing. I lost Silverline a month later, not because my work stopped. Working, their bookings were still climbing, but because Mark's firm offered her a financing deal too good to walk away from, wrapped around a subtle suggestion that her small marketing girl wasn't built for a business at that level. That phrase reached me through a mutual friend. My own brother's words, traveling back to me secondhand, cutting deeper than anything he'd said at Thanksgiving. I sat in my apartment that night, staring at a client list that had just gotten shorter by one name, and I felt something I hadn't let myself feel in over a year. Not sadness, rage. And for the first time since I'd started this business, I stopped wanting to prove Mark wrong. I started wanting to make sure he never forgot it. Losing Silverline should have broken me. Instead, it became the thing that changed everything. I stopped chasing single clients and started building something bigger. I spent every night for 2 months developing a full-service package, social strategy, ad management, content production. Something small businesses in Ohio couldn't get anywhere else without hiring 3 separate agencies. I called it Carter Digital. The first 3 clients came from referrals out of pure spite-fueled networking. I showed up to every small business meetup in Columbus and Dayton. I could find business cards in hand, working the room like my rent depended on it, because it did. By month 4, I had 11 clients. By month 8, I had to hire my first employee, a college student named Priya, who was sharper than people twice her age. By the end of that year, Carter Digital had a real office, nothing fancy, just a converted storefront in downtown Dayton. But it was mine, and my name was on the lease. Then came the moment that changed the trajectory of everything. A regional restaurant chain, 12 locations across 3 states, reached out after seeing what I'd done. For a single struggling diner that had gone from half empty to weekend waitlists in 4 months. That contract alone tripled my annual revenue. Within 18 months, Carter Digital had 19 employees, a client roster that spanned 4 states, and a reputation as the agency that actually delivered results instead of just invoices. I bought a house. Not a mansion, just a clean 3-bedroom in a good school district. The kind of house that meant something to a woman who used to split ramen packets to make them last longer. I hadn't spoken to Mark in over a year. I heard through my mother that his firm had gone through some restructuring. Her words, careful and vague. The way she always talked about anything that made Mark look less than perfect. I didn't ask questions. I didn't need to. Then, on a Tuesday afternoon in October, my office receptionist told me someone was here without an appointment. It was Mark. He was sitting in my waiting room, wearing a suit that looked one size looser than it should have, holding a folder against his chest like it was the only thing keeping him steady. I almost didn't go out to meet him. Part of me wanted Priya to tell him I was busy, let him sit there the way I used to sit outside his life, waiting to be noticed. But I walked out anyway. Mark stood up too fast when he saw me, like he'd rehearsed this moment and forgotten his own lines. Your office is... This is a lot bigger than I expected. It's Emily, I said. And yes, it is. He held out the folder like an offering. Inside were his firm's numbers, clients gone. A partnership that had dissolved, his name quietly removed from the website. The restructuring my mother had been so careful about. I made some mistakes, he said. With Silverline, with a lot of things. I was hoping maybe Carter Digital could use someone who understands finance. I could help you manage growth, investor relationships, that kind of thing. I let the silence sit there longer than I needed to. You once told a client, I was just a marketing girl who wasn't built for business at that level, I said. Do you remember saying that? His jaw tightened. He didn't answer, which was answer enough. I don't need someone to manage my growth, Mark. I built it without you. I built it after you tried to take it from me. So that's it? You won't even consider it? I didn't say that, I said. Send me your resume. I'll review it the same way I review every other applicant. No favors, no family discount. He left without saying much else. I don't know if he ever applied. Some days I hope he did, just so I could be the one deciding, for once, whether he was good enough. That night, I sat in my office long after everyone had gone home, looking out at a parking lot with my company's name lit up above it. I thought about the girl who used to answer emails at 2 a.m., terrified of losing everything. She hadn't needed rescuing. She just needed time, and the refusal to quit when someone she loved decided she wasn't worth believing in.